Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're coming to you with another episode of this board gaming podcast that occasionally talks about board games.
Yes.
And often a lot of other things.
Brought to you by our patrons at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sponsored by our patrons over on patreon.com/Mile High Game Guys.
Yeah.
I think it's still Mile High Game Guys.
Probably still Mile High Game Guys. It's before we started the MH Game Guy
The
thing.
MH Game Guys, yeah.
Yeah, because Mile High Game Guys stopped fitting in things conveniently enough.
It's just, type up milehighgameguys.com. No. Takes up too much space. But
you don't have time to do that.
Far too busy.
We don't have any time to talk about time. There's no time. That's a Star Trek First Contact reference, in case anyone knows.
I do not recognize that as a Star Trek First Contact.
She's
reference.
drunk in the bar, finds the guy, but she's drunk.
I don't remember that happening at all.
Yep. Counselor Troy.
Sure. I'll buy that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about board games to start things off here. Now that we've had our requisite small little intro banter.
Absolutely not.
So when we talk about board games, we like to start with what we've been playing. All three of us here played, and it's the only game I played. But on Friday, over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MHGameGuys, we streamed Rap Godz, which is a relatively new release. It was a Kickstarter designed by Omar Akil, I believe. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
It was Omari Akil, yeah.
Omari, that's right.
And Hamu Dennis?
Dezu. Denu?
That looks like
I don't know. The box is right there. You can just look at the cover.
Oh, it is Dennis. I could have sworn it was something else in the rulebook. Anyway, so we did a 3-player stream of that on Friday over on our Twitch channel. We had picked it up. It was a relatively new release. Came out over the summer. Had a successful Kickstarter. We had got our hands on a Kickstarter copy, even though we didn't back it on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I don't even know where you got this game from.
They're doing like a fundraising thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, over the summer for...
Is there beer in there? I can't tell.
It looks like all head.
I think that technically is beer.
Oh.
I mean, I would agree that even
that's just beer, and
it's just a different.
It's in its
gaseous form.
Gaseous form,
yeah.
Anyway, if you're not watching us live record this on Twitch, you're missing.
But you know what? I didn't drip any out of the crowler.
No,
it was just a very
first pour.
It's pretzel assassin, whatever.
It's gonna be fucking 8 ounces of super flat beer right there.
Whatever. It's an amber.
Yeah. Anyhow, back
for
to
the fine people at Denver Beer Company.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in banter.
Sure. Anyway, Rap Godz. So we streamed it. We have a Kickstarter copy, so we have all the fancy components. I think the board is always the same. I don't think the board's any different.
I feel like I don't know what the difference is, but I have a feeling that it's just the extra players or the extra wrappers, and then because it didn't come with anything extra. Because usually when there's like a lot of Kickstarter stuff, it's like here's the base game stuff, but then also other things.
Yeah.
So I feel like
it might have just been blinged out from like stretch goals.
Yes,
the like gold foil on the record, the money
on the plaques,
record plaques, points really, not money.
Yeah.
You never buy anything with it. They're just points.
Yep.
But yeah. So I played the game technically.
You did.
By the strictest legal definitions. I
Yeah.
played the game. Zach and Jeff, however, actually did well at the game.
we actually competed in a game.
You competed in the game. And Zach, you ended up coming out victorious.
2 times streak now for winning. So we'll see how that goes. See how long that continues.
Yeah, apparently the pandemic has ruined my ability to do good at board games because I have not done well in either of the games.
No, you did. You got second on the previous one.
That's maybe true.
So really, that just seemed like a dig on Jeff more than anything.
It was close though.
Yes.
Where this was not close.
No, it was not. So this one's. I mean, it was basically like a set collection sort of game, right? You're trying to get. Because you're.
I wouldn't call it set collection.
Well, okay.
I don't know what I'd call it.
You have 3 resource tracks that you don't really spend. You just want to get them up to a certain level that you can play more advanced cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those cards also have colors on them, which are a variety of endgame goals that have to deal with playing a certain amount of those colors or not playing any of those colors or the least amount of those colors.
So the set collection I was going to was based around endgame scoring.
And I have seen some that were like, play 3 of this color in a row on your timeline.
Right.
Which your timeline is your rap career. I happened to get the be sampled on a C-list artist's album, and then I also got be sampled on a B-list artist's album.
Nice.
It moved up quite significantly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Never made it to an A-lister, though.
No.
never got the A-lister.
I'm sure it's in there.
I'm sure it's in there somewhere. Yeah.
Yes.
I know for about half of the game, my rapper did not have a song. Yeah, it just kept doing other things. Got to talk to people. Was like make political statements, sponsor a garden, like be like my grandma liked me, I think, or something like that. I'm trying to remember.
My grandma liked me on social media.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
At least none of your highlights of your rap career were your music. It was all other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because ostensibly you
I was
still
a brand.
released an album.
Yeah, I did eventually release an LP. So
Well, and even I mean, like you literally play over the course of releasing 3 albums. So like
Yeah.
I feel like that's still representative of you releasing an album. I don't know. I started off by going to school. I was like, I'm going to learn to do audio engineering and be a good rapper. And turns out that is not a recipe for rap success.
no, you know what it is the first thing you do is you get a good manager, because that's what I did. Is I fired my cousin and I actually hired a good manager, and that is what helped me for my entire career.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I think midway through my career, my manager super ripped me off.
Yeah.
So
Beefs were fun.
That's I was going to say one of the big things in this is that the take that aspect, because beefs are big in the rap culture, and so for this one, it's you play a card, because normally when you're playing a card, you're advancing your streets, your skills, or your swag. But when you play beef against someone, if you successfully do it, then they lose out on plaques and whichever.
And you get
rap
skill
resource.
yeah, they like pay you.
Yeah.
The-
But it is it's dice based, right? And so if you're I'm trying to remember, if you're beefing somebody, I'm trying to remember how we worded it.
If you're the beefy.
Yeah, if you're the beefer.
If you're the beefer, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're the beefer, then
You roll 2 dice.
You roll 2 dice, your die, and then a red die, the beef die. And then the other person rolls 1 die, theirs. And then whoever has the highest roll is the winner of the beef.
The highest single die.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah.
The highest single die is, and then if it ties, so if Adrian gets a 6 and I get a 6, then we re-roll all of them. But so it means that if you are aggressive with your beefing, then you have a better chance of doing it. But as we saw multiple times during the stream, they didn't always mean anything. You could roll a fucking 1-2 with your dice, and then someone else rolls a 4, and it's like, shit.
Yeah. Or you could, be getting beefed and roll a 6 and be like, sweet, and then your opponent rolls a 6 as well. And it's
Exactly.
like, great.
Yep.
Now we just re-roll everything and I'm back at bad odds. Or they could have a +2 to their beef and be like, my 6 is now an 8.
Because there was sets of bonuses on each of the tracks. When you got to them, you got like a one-time bonus that was
Correct.
like draw an extra card, or +2 to your beef roll, or like +3 to the resources that you would have gained from a card you can play, and then get an additional +3 on top of that.
Or because you said also gain a card, or you get +2 on a beef, or
Yep.
I think was that it? I feel like I don't know if we saw any others.
Yeah, that's all I saw. Resources,
That's all I remember.
Gotcha.
resources card,
So I know, so
beefiness.
for Endgame, what really mattered for a lot of this was that so like I chose a character that didn't have an Endgame scoring goal, because like you guys,
I don't think we really talked. Like, there's a ton of different rappers.
Yes.
And they all have different.
So there's like 3 different things they can have. Is they can have an ability, they can have like an extra scoring condition, and then a end game goal.
Yeah.
And if you had a super powerful like scoring ability and point total or regular ability, like I did, then I didn't have an end game goal. Whereas you had a powerful ability and then a powerful end game goal, so you didn't have a scoring ability thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know for me, like I was a little worried because I didn't have an end game goal for scoring things, right? But that also meant I didn't have anything that I was going for like long term outside of my card, my scoring ability card that let me. I got 2 plaques for every green or blue card. So I was like, okay, I need to just play those. And then like the cities that came out, the end game cities, like a lot of them were like leased. So it was like leased pink cards or leased gray cards.
Right.
And so on mine, it was very much, okay, I need to play blue and green and then yellow if I have to, and then not play any of the other ones. And that ended up letting me win both of those city goals, because I was like, you guys had like 1 on each, 2 on each, depending on which one it was.
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, as long as I just don't play any of those, then it doesn't matter. And with the 6 cards in my hand, it, made a better chance of me being able to play cards
that weren't
those.
Yeah.
It's a good thing they didn't have anything to do with your, player power, like playing gray and pink cards, because then you're losing out on 2 points every time you would have played any of those colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But are you going to play like 7 of those colors
Right.
to make up for that
you had-
game goal?
I got plus 2 points per pink card, but I only got to play I only saw 3 pink cards all game that I had in my hand.
Mhm.
So I got 6 points for it, but then by having those, I lost out on the 10 points elsewhere. So it was like,
Yeah. But I mean, looking at it that way, like, especially because you knew it was my city, and like one of the end game goals was like win your city, like you can posit that I'm going to try and go for that. And that if you try and go for it as well, at most you're going to get 5 points, and it would be denying me 5 points, but still, yeah. If I think at that point you would have just been like, I need to just go all in as much as I can on the pink, and you weren't able to.
And that's one of the things. Like, thankfully, this is a really
short
It's
game.
not a game. It's a short game. It's not a game to take seriously, because you're super dependent on your card draws. Like, you don't get to draw that many cards, and like there are multiple times each of the 3 like main albums, the phases, that like Jeff, you top decked at least once. I think I top decked at least once.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, all right, I'm going to draw a card off the top, and that's what I get to play.
Well,
and I hope it's good.
Well, and I think
you can even play it.
Yeah, I hope I can even play it.
Well, and I think part of that is due to the come ups. So those are like special cards that you can get, but you have to trade 3 cards in order to be able to do that. And so they're powerful, and they don't have any prerequisites, because a lot of cards most cards actually in albums 2 and 3 had like, you need to have like 10 streets or 15 skills or something like that in order to play them. But the come ups cards, you didn't have to worry about that. You just trade in the cards, and whatever it is you get to play, and they were usually more powerful than a respective album of that, of that same level.
Right.
And so you could do that early if you wanted, but then you're at the mercy of what you draw there, right?
Yep.
So maybe it's one of those things of like, you just wait towards the end. But I will say that was something I didn't realize until we started the game, was because I got an extra card in my hand, I was actually able to do 2 come ups a round.
Yeah.
Or a track.
Yes.
Or an album, sorry.
An album.
An album versus everybody else only being able to do 1. And
which I noticed also really helped you, because it allowed you to empty your hand right at the end of an album. So you got to draw a full hand of the new cards. Whereas like I had cards from earlier albums still in my hand that I couldn't get rid of fast enough, because you can only play 1 a turn.
Yeah. Well, and it's either you either don't drain any of the cards, or you have to drain 3, because in order to switch. So once you guys did that, then it was just, you had 2 cards in your hands, whereas I had 0.
Yeah.
And so that meant at the beginning of the next thing, I had, like you said, I had 6 cards to play with. So the chance of being able to play something was a lot more powerful versus yours only drawing like 3 new ones. So, and you could use those album cards to trade, for the come up. But yeah, it's in a game where it's card dependent, being able to have more cards and see more cards was huge. And so I almost didn't choose that character, because I had heard somewhere when we were learning how to play the game, I was watching a review, and they were like, if you have a chance between choosing one that doesn't have an end game goal and does, go for the one that has the end game goal. But that one like all the other cards that I had that did have endgame goals, they were nowhere near as good as that one. So
Right. So that was Rap Godz. That was our stream.
enjoyed it. I think we all enjoyed it more than we thought we would.
I certainly enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I don't know how much I'd actually like still play it.
No,
very
but
regularly.
I would definitely.
It is very light.
Yeah,
Very.
it's light, but it's like I would play that at a game night definitely.
Yeah, it's a good game night game.
Yeah,
Quick, easy to learn.
A lot of shit talking.
yeah, especially when the beefs come up. Just be like, "Oh, you motherfucker!" Yeah,
Suck on this beef.
exactly.
But yeah, that's it. That's all that I played. Was just that stream. If you want to catch our streams, be sure to follow us, like us, follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/MH Game Guys.
With the MH.
Yeah, that one's an MH one. Yeah, definitely follow us. Feel free to also subscribe. That would be
Like, comment,
that would be great.
smash on that subscribe button.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
All those awful things that every YouTuber shouts at the end of their videos.
But they're so effective.
Yep,
Well, and unfortunately, like they really need that if they're going to be at all successful.
exactly.
Yes.
YouTube algorithms.
Yay.
Fun stuff.
Moving right along.
Moving along.
What did y'all play?
So we played on Wednesday. We played some more Lord of the Rings, which I'm wondering, Jeff, at what point will people be like, man, I wish they fucking talked about Kingdom Death again for a fucking week.
It's Lord of the Rings hour.
Yep. So this one, we continued our trend of doing really well until the final mission of an arc, and then we shit the bed.
Yes.
And
this one, we weren't really shitting the bed so much as
the bed shit on us.
the bed. Yeah. So we didn't want to make the same mistake again because we didn't have final objective, and we were already about halfway through the scenario.
Yeah, this one we were trying to escape, basically
Escape the depths of Moria.
and then we got an option that was like, hey, this was it had a funny event or had a funny thing that kept happening where it was like, you can tell that something bad's gonna happen. The owner of the Crown of Shadows.
Yeah.
Can choose to take a corruption in order to delay this event from happening. And I was at 2 corruption when that started, and I was like, yeah, because the Crown of Shadows gave you a token that you could deplete that would give you like successes equal to the amount of corruption you had. So I'm like, yeah, I fucking
3
want
free successes.
Yeah, and I had not only 3 free successes, but I also had a card that if I got out before I used it, I would get another depletion token for it. So it'd be, 2.
Could use it 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. 2 times because it only had the 1 on it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but we had that happen a couple times. I even chose to try and do a last stand.
If you take 4 corruption, you do a last stand, and then you don't take the 4th corruption.
Yeah, and so I ended up doing that.
But each last stand you take needs more successes.
Yeah. But with having the crown available to me, it was like, well, if I need to fucking use it,
He could go to 3rd last stand and auto succeed.
yeah. And so I chose to do a last stand. I succeeded at it. And then as about halfway through, we checked out most everything that we wanted to, and then we found we had to find 3 different things throughout.
It was like the Brothers Gate in Moria, and they each had a different rune or whatever
you were looking for a name, basically on there.
The dwarvish name for runes, which was something that I couldn't even pronounce.
Yeah. And so once we did that, like you said, we're about halfway done through the scenario, and we're like, we could wait around and go explore a little bit more, or we can just open the door, because the last couple times we did that, we had to defeat something or whatever, and we didn't have enough time. And like just said, we learned from our mistakes, so we were going to be like, no, we're going to do it now. Except then when we open it, it's like, all right, well, do you want to destroy the crown, or do you want to just take it with you? It's a pretty powerful crown, you know? So, and I was like, fuck yeah, we're going to keep it, because this thing's awesome. And so we clicked that.
And then a Balrog pushes open the gate from the other side with Gandalf standing alone in front of him. And it just comes onto my space. And I'm just like, I have no inspiration. I have like nowhere near enough cards prepared to be able to do anything about this.
I had pretty much no damage. He had been taking damage left and right because the how Jeff plays this game is he acknowledges his potential, but then that's it. because when you draw cards, if you get the cards with the fate icons, you can use inspiration to turn it into successes. But Jeff is like, oh, I just need to have the fate icons, right? And fail, but look how much fate icons I have.
And I couldn't even get the card that just turns the fate icons into successes.
No.
If you don't draw any successes, it will just auto turn all of your fate icons into successes. And I couldn't even get that card out. And I couldn't even get the card out that gives me a free inspiration and then the card while it's prepped is another free inspiration.
Yep.
Yeah, I was not getting the cards I needed nor wanted.
No. So he was already fairly damaged, both in damage and fear. And so then he walks up and there's a Balrog and the hand of Morgoth. Not supplicant?
Or supplicant. The supplicant of Morgoth.
So they walk up right in front of him and it's just like, fuck, I was behind him like 3 spaces, so I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, so then I ran away, and the supplicant is the one that got the attack of opportunity, and then they moved towards the Crown of Shadows, which was then onto my spot, because we did not know it would be moving every turn towards the Crown of Shadows, so then it just immediately walked onto me.
Yeah.
And then it targeted me.
The Balrog walks directly onto him.
And then it attacked me. It targeted me with its app-based targeting thing. And then I took enough damage to...
Do a last stand?
By a significant portion. And then it was like, all right, your last stand is going to be might. My might stat is 2. I had no inspiration.
You just needed 1 success.
I needed to draw 1 success in 2 cards, which did not happen.
Instead, he once again showed promise and drew 2 cards with fate icons.
Yes.
But no successes.
Yeah.
So then Gandalf died.
And so then you have to the next shadow phase to complete the scenario, or it's over.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Paul was on the other side of the map. So I ran over and I attacked the Balrog once. I did like...
most of its damage.
13 out of its like 22 health. Like
yeah.
I could have, if I could have gotten 2 attacks on it, I could have killed it.
Yes.
Okay.
But I only got the 1 attack on it, did 2/3 of its health. And then, unfortunately,
we do have another option of winning, which was destroying the Crown of Shadows, but it happened after the shadow phase.
Yeah, it happened at the end of
the game because I was dead.
And so
because you always just had an option to opt out, destroy the Crown of Shadows, and then that was it.
But literally did not have a turn to do that after we saw, it's one of those things of like, oh ho ho, the consequence of my actions. Or is it well isn't if it isn't the consequence of my actions, that's what it is.
Yes.
And so I tried to go there to destroy the Crown of Shadow, but I couldn't because the game ended as soon as the next shadow phase happened.
Yes.
And then the Crown of Shadows got destroyed anyway.
Yes.
And so now I have fucking 3 corruption like a dipshit. And I'm like, man, now all of a sudden I'm seeing downsides to having corruption.
And then we did another scenario after that, which was like spiders were raiding the elves, and it was sort of like it was on the battle map, and it was sort of like a river, like holding the river against like waves of enemies.
Okay.
And normally to go across the river, you just immediately end your turn, but Gimli had gotten across, and then I got the eagle card, which just plopped me over on him. So then we had 2 people on the other side of the river for free. Well,
I wasted my turn.
1.5 for free.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we just slaughtered everything that was coming across like no fucking problem. And just destroying we didn't even use any of the little, like there was little glowy terrain spots in the app that were like, oh, go over to the bush and use it and you could get an advantage, or go over to this little search token and do this. And we didn't even bother. We just slaughtered fucking everything. No problem. And then we move into the 3rd arc of this campaign, which is because it was become a friend of the elves, go to Moria to find a treasure. Even though we didn't become the bestest friends with elves, we still get 2 inspiration at the beginning of every mission because of how friendly we are with the elves. So maybe it would have been more. I don't know.
And then we also the owner of the Crown of Shadows also gets to do something too, but unfortunately it's in a pit somewhere. So
it keeps asking us like,
but it keeps saying it keeps poking it. It's just like, hey, if you have the Crown of Shadows, you can do this. Oh, you don't have it? Sorry, buddy.
Nope.
No, we don't have it.
Yeah.
No, we don't have it.
And now we're gonna go fight like a spider den or something. And the whole thing is to fight spiders, so it was weird that you could just go to the spider den and fight spiders, even though that seems to be like a final objective.
Yeah.
Maybe there's going to be like a fourth tier that you get to fight spider lords or whatever.
Sure.
There is a spider boss figure, but there's also like another figure we haven't even seen anything about yet. It's like a ghost dude.
Okay.
That's like a named boss guy. So
yeah, it may come up later at some or
we
one of the different
we
scenarios.
have the supplicant of Morgoth, the giant spider. Maybe the giant spider wasn't. I don't remember if that was in that. I have the mini expansions, the miniature expansions that add minis for the boss monsters because they didn't put the boss monsters in the base games or expansions.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. You just use a regular model and be like, oh, he's a boss now.
Yep.
Lots of flags to denote different groups.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where we left Lord of the Rings. We'll probably get back into that this Wednesday for another day of Lord of the Rings.
I don't think you will.
No.
I think Paul already said he's going to bail on gaming this week so he can put together all of the heavy tools I unloaded that I'll talk about in Banter.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe Zach and I will just show up
Yeah.
and maybe play as a support dwarf instead of not a support dwarf.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anything else you guys played?
Yes. We got together and played after our bacon beer festival.
Bacon, beer, and coffee, correct?
Yes, and a huge breakfast burrito. But we'll get it. He laughs. We'll get into that later.
Just because of how huge it was just
Bulk.
It was a bulky burrito.
Anyways, we got together and played Marvel Champions, and I brought all of Marvel Champions, and including the playmat.
Does it fit in a single box?
No,
Oh, God, no.
no, absolutely not. There's even with an insert. There's where we're into like using one of the campaign boxes and most of that to be able to contain this game.
He actually has stuff in both of the campaign boxes.
Well, now it's I reorganized everything
Okay.
after we played, so now it's kind of all just in the main box and a campaign box that I bought an insert for one of the campaign boxes with dividers.
Yeah.
Wow.
You just need to buy a suitcase and then just put dividers.
Yeah, you
in
need
that.
one of those like insane, like people that had every Dominion expansion.
Uh-huh.
Shit,
Yep.
you need one of those here pretty soon.
Yep.
So we played Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch, which was the second set of team-ups
Yep.
that released alongside with Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then the campaign had Groot and Rocket. And then we fought the
King the Conqueror.
King the Conqueror, which was another villain pack, the most recent villain pack. There's only been
A couple.
Three.
Three.
Green Goblin, Wrecking Crew, King the Conqueror.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the expansions add like 3 more each. But we haven't played any of the campaigns, so
Yep.
we haven't had to fight those bosses.
Okay.
So King the Conqueror is a time-traveling villain of the Avengers. He is like the first villain of the Avengers, if I remember vaguely. He's the reason the Avengers became the Avengers.
Sure.
So Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver decided to fight him. What is
Base set.
base set, like the pre-built Quicksilver,
Which was
Scarlet
our
Witch.
first mistake. Well, we didn't want to spend time building it, but we soon realized that a deck based around defense and stopping thwarting was not gonna do what we needed it to.
No, in no way, shape, or form. Like thwarting could be useful, but a defense-oriented deck was not making it happen.
Yep.
So we set up the scenario, which was kind of weird. It's basically just like defeat Kang, and then once you defeat Kang, you split off into 4 different timelines, and those are random, and they can be like 4 different variations of Kang, and then each timeline gets dealt to each player. So we had 2 different timelines we were fighting in, and then we created our own gameplay areas. So my cards didn't affect him, his cards didn't affect me, which means if we're teaming up, I can't use him for my team up card anymore because we're in different fucking timelines.
Oh shit.
Yep.
But in each of our decks, he has a Wanda in his, a Scarlet Witch in his, and I have a Quicksilver in mine. So technically, if I had that ally out, which I would not be able to use with him in the regular scenario because there's already a Quicksilver in the game, I can't put out the ally Quicksilver because he is the hero Quicksilver.
Correct.
Sure.
But in that separate timeline, this was a Mr. Boner version, let's say, of Quicksilver and not the, classic Godzilla fighting
Correct.
version of Quicksilver.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
It looks like he's not getting that reference, but
I do not understand that reference, which is another reference.
yeah.
Um,
Aaron Taylor Johnson was in Godzilla.
yes.
Also, his wife was
also
his wife
Scarlet
was
Witch,
his
yeah.
wife was Elizabeth Olsen, which is sort of weird.
And then they
but
were brother sister in Age of Ultron.
Yeah. It's like, what is this? Which universe is it? Which Marvel universe is it where they're also like, yeah, we're brother and sister, but also we just like to fuck.
That would be the Ultimate Universe.
There you go.
Yes, they got that was
weird.
the Ultimates, which was that Avengers team. It was very good for a couple like arcs, and then once Ultimates 3 hit, it was like, ooh, no, ew, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
And then the Blob ate the Wasp, and yeah, it's weird. Anyway, so the option in that timeline is just to let the threat pop, and then Kang gets stronger because he has his giant sword-shaped spaceship that is another side scheme that makes him immune to damage while that is out. And then whenever you defeated it, you just get an extra encounter card.
Okay.
So that was the penalty for not defeating the Iron Lad version or
Whatever yours was.
Kang the Conqueror. Yeah. I don't even remotely know what version of Kang that I was fighting. I knew the Iron Lad one though. So then both of ours popped. No, we did not defeat Iron Lad.
No.
Mine popped, but when mine popped, I get then tossed into his timeline, and then we can fight it together.
Yeah, the problem
We couldn't do any damage.
A lot
at
of our
all.
damage was just like 1 or 2 damage each, and he kept having like armor,
shields, toughness. Yeah, which is
Um,
basically do any damage,
yeah,
this goes away, and that's it.
yeah. And so by the time we reached the third form, he had, not only did he have 2 of those ships out, the Dominion,
Yeah, Kang's Dominion.
He also had 3 acceleration tokens on there. And so each round he was adding 5 threat onto his scheme, which once it hit 20 is end game, or that's the end of the game.
Sure.
And so when he attacks us, if we didn't want to take 2 extra damage, then we also added so we were basically adding about 7 threat a round.
Yes,
And that's even if and that's only if he's attacking us. If he is
the
scheming, he's adding fucking scheming and shit on there. So it was like,
and it only goes to 20 before we lose.
yeah. And so
Thankfully, I had a thwart deck that was getting rid of like 6 at a time,
Yeah.
but that's all I was doing.
yeah. And Quicksilver, his ability is like when he does one of his basic powers the first time, when he exhausts, he then readies back up again. So you could do each of those twice. And I was able to get like 3 attack and 3 thwarting. So I could do like 6 thwarting around if I wanted.
Oh, and during that third phase of Kang, he also just takes your Nemesis minions and engages them with you.
Yeah.
Whatever your Nemesis is, they're just now engaged.
Damn.
Yeah. Even if you didn't get your like Shadows of the Past, whatever card to put all your Nemesis shit in there,
Yeah.
it was just like, all right, put it in the game now.
And a lot of those were adding more threat out.
Yeah.
It was thankfully
It was fucking ridiculous.
There was one turn where we're like, and I can't not take damage, and then I die. So that then it mercifully ended after like 3 hours.
Yeah, it was very long because it was just a lot of like.
It also didn't help that fucking Wanda over here just would not stop burning through the encounter deck.
That's her thing.
I know.
Is she burns through the encounter deck. It's all about using the encounter deck's boost icons so she has a bunch of hex bolts, and you draw 3 encounter cards, and you get effects based on how many, 0, 1, 2, or 3. And her crest, her like little helmet crest thing, lets you adjust it up or down by 1 if you so choose per phase.
Oh, and then you also have your ability of just drawing, like when you would compare a boost icon, it's like, oh, you can just draw a different one instead.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we drew 3 there. Well, let's just draw another one because it might be different, like chaos control.
Yeah.
And then I have another one that's like, play a card for free, but draw as many encounter cards as the cost of that, which is powerful.
Yeah.
But also goes through up to 4 encounter cards. 3 for every hex bolt. My molecular destruction decay does 5 damage, and then +2 versus boosts from fucking encounter cards. So everything was just burning encounter cards like crazy.
Yep.
And then I wasn't doing much with it. Like all the things that I could attack it had less than 5 health. But otherwise I could only do the hex bolts that at random would do 2. And hopefully I did that twice.
Yeah.
And then I could kill something.
Yeah. No, we needed someone who was so I think like a Quicksilver attack deck could be good because he had
Quicksilver aggression.
Yeah.
Because he could just be like smash, 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 smash.
Yeah.
Instead of just like defend, thwart.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, the characters were neat.
They were neat, but also
constructed versions of those would probably be cooler.
Yeah. So
I look forward to checking those out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's it for what we've been playing.
Right on. Well, that lets us move out of what we've been playing and over into some banter. Where Zach, I will let you start off this week.
Okay. Do you need to go get some coffee or something?
I wish I had coffee.
Yeah.
I will let you start though. No, because as I recall, we wrapped up banter last week, and I'm just distracted by the poor. And we wrapped up the episode or something, and you were like, well, I guess I won't talk about the game I played. The video game or something.
Yeah.
So I'll let you start on banter this
Zach
week.
returns to banter.
Yes.
Zach is back.
So what I missed out on last week was just that I was finally able to not only beat Returnal, but then I also got the final ending for it, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
it's if you ever played Prince of Persia, The Warrior Within, or just Warrior Within, it basically has 2 endings. Like one is just the regular ending, and then the second one is if you get a bunch of shit and then you defeat the final boss, you get a second ending. And that's basically what happened here. Is that although what happens is you beat him first, and then because it's a roguelike game, you get back in the loop, and it's like, oh, now you have to get shit. And then you can finally break out, so to speak. And so I was able to do that. Do the final house sequence, and then defeat the final boss and beat that. Have you played any more of it, Jeff? Or are you still in Biome 1?
I am still in 1. I have not touched it at all.
Gotcha. I'll just say that
I played a different game instead.
Yeah. As you get further along into each of the biomes, the weapons start to get fucking ridiculous. Like how overpowerful they are. Yes.
I'm glad.
Yes. Because I think in the end of Biome 1, you maybe have like 1 trait. Like in your gun, it has like 1 trait on it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. The ones there, they can have like 4 traits.
Okay.
And they get like, oh, here's just a portal that shoots a beam that is just melting enemies. All
right.
Then it's like once it kills something, it's like, okay, now I'm gonna go target something else, and you're just running around doing shit while this happens. It's great. But I enjoyed it.
Do you continue to randomly attach whatever alien thing that you come across directly onto your body?
100%, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad that never stops.
Yeah, no, you do Prometheus 100% forever. Yes.
What would happen if this snake-like monster went down my throat?
Yep, pretty much.
Let's find out.
Oh, yeah.
No. Oh, I'm a zombie now.
No, you find a bunch of alien technology that you're just like, you're like, the thing says, oh, it's fine to put on. And you're like, okay. So, and then it like latches on and like drives spikes in, and you're like, okay, now we're fine. Okay, good. Still, my favorite moment in that is the first time you get into like the saving chamber, like that you can spend 6 ether to like, if you die, regenerate in there. Like if the first time it opens up, it's just a giant alien hole, right?
Alien shaped hole with Wolverine claws.
And then you look at it and you're like, huh? And then you just slide into it, and then it just closes behind you. You're like, and then it just opens back up, and then you're like, I wonder what that was.
Let's go into this dark hole.
Yep. It starts to make a little bit more sense on why you're starting to do some of that shit.
Okay.
And it's definitely one of those games that is, I don't know, it's not as straightforward as you think it is, like when you first get in, I guess.
Okay.
It's like more, I don't know, esoteric maybe.
Does the story pay off?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
It's just
It goes places and it's worth going there.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and
not just like question mark ending, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens at the end
Of the first
of
ending.
of act that, because that's act 2 is when you first beat the game, and then you're
Yeah.
like, what? And then they're like, well, I need to do this, and they're like, okay, well, I guess I'll go do that, and they're like, oh, okay. But no, I enjoyed it. Like I said, it took 25 hours or so. I really felt that I had like breakthrough moments where I would like
progress.
Yeah.
Brick wall.
Oh, well, first off, it was brick wall. And then progress, and then brick wall, and then a shitload of progress, and then brick wall, and then progress. But what was funny was on my first run through of the game to going to completion, my friend was also playing it on his PS5, and every single time I was talking with him is when I defeated a boss.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I wasn't talking with him, is I would just hit the same boss over and over, and I was just like, I'm so frustrated. And then I talk with him, and then I'd beat it first time. I'm like, God damn it. So I was just like, we've got to talk.
Yeah, I've only gotten to that first boss once and gotten
Yeah.
down to the last bar,
Yeah.
but that's it.
No, it wasn't like he was talking to you about like how to beat the boss.
Oh, no. We
Okay.
were just talking about random shit.
Okay.
And it may just be because I was distracted enough that I could just let
relax and let instinct take over.
Yeah, because I think that's the problem, or not problem, whatever. The thing you got to deal with bullet hell games is that you can't like think too much about it, because then you're just gonna get like, oh, I need to go here, okay, and then you fuck up once. You're like, I'm fucking up, and then you just running into bullets, right? So I think talking with him let me just sort of live in the moment and sort of
I don't think
yeah.
somehow through all this
Uh-huh.
that I ever realized it was a bullet hell game.
It's
It's a third-person shooter bullet hell.
Yeah.
That has plummeted my interest.
Oh yeah. Well,
Bullet hells are like one of my least favorite genres.
I would agree with that. For me, because it's third person, it makes it a lot better. But also, you would need to have PS5 in this situation.
well, I
so-
still really want to get a PS5.
Yes.
Like really want to
Yeah.
get one.
I mean, well, here's the thing. After I let Nick you can try it out. You don't have to pay $70 for it. So
Sure.
it's enjoyable, but it's So now I've gone back to Ghost of Tsushima, and I want to try and beat that before Ratchet and Clank comes out.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank's going to be a very, very good game. Last of Us Part 2 PS5 patch just hit, so now I can actually play that game, and I've lived with zero spoilers of that game past
Same
the
here.
first couple hours, because I did play the first couple hours when it came out. But
And you were like, I need to wait for a PS5 patch for this.
I was like, I didn't even have a Pro. Like I was
Yeah.
like,
It's
it's around the corner,
exactly.
and the corner is here.
Yep, that's why I didn't play it, because I didn't want to try even attempt to do it on my PS4.
As its jet engine sends
Exactly.
it across the state.
I think Last of Us 2 is the number one reason I want a PS5.
Did you play the first one at all?
Yes.
Okay.
I played that on my PS3
Ah.
and I loved it and it was great. It was amazing. And yeah. Also Spider-Man, because I've heard Spider-Man is just a ton of fun.
Oh, it's real good.
Next up, Resident Evil Village. I bought it. I played it. I beat it.
You beat it
Yes.
already?
8
It's
hours.
not. It's not that. Yeah, they're like 8 to 10 hours.
They're made more for replayable.
Yeah.
Replayability.
Because
But it also unlocks like Mercenaries mode, which is kind of like the score time attack thing.
Sure.
That's super cool. Because Resident Evil Mercenaries, you get you find all these little perk power things that are like Call of Duty powers. Like,
Okay.
you
yeah,
can call in a nuke.
it's kind of weird things like that. Yeah, like
AC-130 gunship.
yeah, totally. Of like.
Yeah, fuck this building that I'm trying to go through and do stuff. Can you just destroy it, please? Perfect. Don't have to worry about those vampires anymore.
Werewolves, sir.
Oh, well.
Mostly werewolves.
Okay.
Yeah, Resident Evil Village is super weird. It's very good. It is definitely Resident Evil 7 2, 100%. But the characters were very interesting. It has the big lady, which unfortunately I think they had the marketing materials have like the big lady in it, and then it became a meme, and then they're like, yeah, the big lady's not in it enough to really justify the game around it. Like the last dude is far more interesting. His name's Heisenberg. He has he has magneto powers.
Oh.
Yeah.
He doesn't just sell a bunch of meth.
I can almost guarantee he's that voice actor dude that does literally everything. Does Joel in
Nolan North?
Is it Nolan? That's not. It's the other guy.
Oh, the other
That's
one.
not Nolan North.
Okay.
Pretty sure it's that guy. Yeah, Resident Evil Village. Very scary. Like one of the bosses is practically just a PT like.
Oh, that's something. Okay.
A what?
Playable teaser. It was the Kojima thing that Konami released as a demo. It's like
for
the
Silent
first
Hills.
Yeah.
and that had Norman Reedus in it, and then that got canceled, and he got fired, and then Death Stranding happened with Norman Reedus because of that.
Yep.
Gotcha.
But
and PT was very scary.
Yes. Now imagine with like a really weird, creepy mutant baby chasing you the whole time.
Pass.
Yeah. And that's going to be the hardest part about replaying it because there's no combat in it. It's a puzzle and a puzzle of how to avoid
dying. Okay.
And it's very simple, but it takes too long to really care about that portion of the game. And I wish you could kind of just skip it because you don't actually get anything out of it except the like one key piece that you're looking for of the 4 by defeating the boss. It's not like you're missing out on a fucking suitcase that makes your inventory larger or a gun or something like that because it's all weaponless and it's all just kind of going and it's all first person. That's all it is.
Okay.
But everything else in it was great. It was very good top to bottom. Super fun. Short, maybe not worth $60, but very enjoyable.
Okay.
And then I played a little bit of Mass Effect 1 on the Legendary Edition. I'm not too far in, but Mass Effect 1 looks a lot better for a game that came out in 2007.
Yeah.
They definitely did the most work there. I haven't tried any of the other ones yet. Maybe I'll play through. I don't know. Mass Effect 3 ruined the rest of Mass Effect, so.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready.
Yeah.
I think I'll wait until it's massively on sale. And then I'll try it.
Yeah, that's it for video games.
Beer.
So I do have one little thing of banter before
video games.
Oh, okay. Well, do your video games then.
Yeah. So my video games I'll keep short because I haven't beat anything and I haven't played things like super mind blowing. I've been playing Subnautica Below Zero, which I like, although not quite as much as Subnautica. It still has though the like little bit of tension, like exploring a deep area for the first time in the new realm, and it's like, oh shit, that's a giant monster that can swallow me whole. Fuck. Oh, it saw me. Oh, I'm dead. So that's nice. And the base building is way better. I wish I could like put the base building from Below Zero into Subnautica, because it's way better, way cooler pieces and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And then I started on Xbox, Final Fantasy VII, like super remastered edition, or not 7, 8. 8.
Oh,
Final
okay.
Fantasy
I was
8.
like, yeah, Final Fantasy VII remakes only on
The PS4.
PlayStation so far.
I'm
also
not,
getting a PS5 patch.
Yes.
I'm not really far enough into it to like know whether I'm gonna
Have you
go
played
through
8
it again.
before?
8 was the first one I ever played.
Okay.
8 was what got me into Final Fantasy, and I played 8 through 10, and maybe a little bit of 10 too, and that's about where I dropped out.
Gotcha.
I tried to play whatever the newest one is.
15.
15.
Yeah.
And I did not like it.
You didn't like
all.
going on the car trip with the boys?
No.
Okay.
No. And I didn't like just so much about it. I did not like.
Gotcha.
Playing 8, though, it's like one of those things where I have my memories of playing it back in, I don't know what, like 1990 something, 99, I think.
Somewhere around there.
It was PS2, so I think the PS2 came out in 2000, so we're talking early aughts.
Yeah.
I thought.
I think it's
No, it was
99.
PS1.
Yeah.
It was PS1.
No, because 10 was
the first PS2.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is,
Those mind-blowing visuals.
yeah. And they're a lot
Full
better.
motion video.
It's a lot better because I played just straight 8, I think, on Steam. I'd gotten it on a sale for like $1.
Oh, God.
And it was just like, ooh.
Mhm.
The remastered is
And usually
much
those
better.
are ported app versions of the
Oh,
games.
see, I didn't know
mobile.
that
They're
either.
ported mobile versions.
Ew.
Yeah.
Even worse.
Yeah.
It was only $1.
The only way you can get Chrono Trigger is through a ported mobile app, unfortunately.
Gross.
Yeah.
So we'll see if I stick with it, but it is already better than the shitty Steam version I played. It actually has like controller support, so that's amazing.
It's not just touchscreen.
Touching on the computer.
Use your
Yeah.
mouse to touch the part.
Well, and actually maybe that was the problem. I was trying to play it with keyboard and mouse, and it like awkwardly didn't want to map controller settings to keyboard. I don't know. I had major issues.
It's not fun playing yet. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. If that fails, then I might try 9, and then if that fails, then I'll try 10, and if that fails, then I will give up on Final Fantasy forever.
Gotcha.
That's it
Okay.
for my video game.
Gotcha.
Like
Cool.
I said, not much.
Right. So the thing I just wanted to touch on quickly was after Jeff gave me back my copy of the Mission Impossible collection,
Yes.
the Blu-ray 5-disc one, I was like,
Because I bought the 6-disc.
because he bought the 6-disc, and I was like,
I think it was
I
at
need the
like
6.
Target Black Friday for like $20 or something ridiculous.
I was like, I need the 6-disc. I need Fallout, which is I think the 6th one, right? Yeah.
Sure.
But then I was like, I've got a PS5 now. I've got a 4K TV. So why don't I just get the 4K Blu-rays of it? Just get a collection of that, right? And then I won't really have use for that 5 discs collection anymore, but that's fine. I could just give it to somebody. So I order that, and then I also order because I'm looking there. I'm like, why don't I also just get the 8 movie Fast and Furious collection on 4K as well, which I also did. When they arrived, I opened that one first, and it was nice. It had like this book sort of thing. It had each of the movies in there. It's like, okay, this is cool. It had the Blu-rays in there, which I weren't going to use, but at least it seemed presentable, right? And how it was presenting everything. But I open up the Mission Impossible one, and I'm fucking 100% sure they're just like, all right, here's the 4K stuff, and then also whatever your Blu-ray.
It's the 6-disc Blu-ray in there, and
as well
with just the 4K Blu-ray in a different package right next to it.
So then I open it up. I'm like, well, now I have a six movie collection of Blu-ray, and then a 6 of that. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So now I had basically 3 versions of the first 5 movies and 2 versions of the 6th movie. So I ended up giving one of them away, but I still have the 5-disc one if you want that and not the 6th
Fallout
one. Yeah.
Not really.
I still haven't watched any of them after the first one, and maybe I have probably seen the second one.
I'm sure you've seen the second one.
And then it was many years before the third one, right?
Yeah.
And that's when the JJ started.
That one, well, JJ did that one, and then 4 was Ghost Protocol, which was Brad Bird, and then
wasn't John Woo one of them?
that was the second one.
That was the second
That
one?
was It is the worst of the 6,
which is why there was many years between that and the third one.
But I mean, we got our doves, right, and then we have fighting on the beach. We have people fucking running at each other on bikes. So yeah. In the second one, so
just
and it's way too long.
ripping each other's faces off.
Exactly.
Much face ripping.
Putting people's faces on other people's faces.
Exactly. Yeah.
Another John Woo movie.
Yeah, but I need to. Yeah. Well, and also I think it's almost the same finale as that one, or one of his other.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I would have no. Was there a boat chase? I don't know.
I don't think there was a boat chase in Mission Impossible 2. Like, I think the finale fight is the motorcycle jousting.
Yes.
Followed by beach fighting with doves.
Yes.
Okay, that is very similar to Face Off.
Yeah.
There was definitely beach fighting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And doves, I'm sure.
That was in the church.
Yep.
It was where the doves were.
Exactly.
I feel like there might have been some doves at the airport at the beginning, too.
I'm positive there was, yes. He's got like a dove hookup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like he has some
He knows a dove guy.
He's got a dove laundering scheme going on somewhere.
Definitely. But I have those that I need to watch before the new movies come out for those. So
Gotcha.
Cool.
Right on. Moving on.
Moving on to Beer, Bacon, and Coffee Festival, which we went to this last Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
yes, we being
Not
Jeff and
me.
I, yeah, because you had to work.
Yes.
It was a Beer, Bacon, and Coffee endless bottomless festival with a huge breakfast burrito that would make Santiago's look large.
Oh wait, is this the opposite of large?
Yeah.
Yes.
They weren't that big. No.
No.
And they were very mediocre.
Yes.
Okay. Were they advertised as being big?
Huge? In fact,
Yes.
Oh, were they like marketed as
it
huge
literally
breakfast
said
burritos?
huge breakfast burrito.
Yep. And then also it's like endless amounts of bacon, which was technically true, but it was also like just one type of bacon. It was like
It was tender belly bacon.
yeah,
Which is good bacon.
It was, but also when you have like 11 pieces of it, you're like,
I am done eating.
I'm
this.
done that. And then
My ass will explode soon.
yeah, and then they also like endless coffee too, but it was just regular coffee and then cold brew coffee. So really,
With three different types of
It
creamers.
really sounds like I did not miss out.
no. I mean so they did have
And then
7
it had
breakfast beers.
eight.
7. It was 4 and 3.
Well, then they ran out of one
Yeah. Okay.
from Saturday into Sunday because it was marketed as 8. Pretty sure.
I would disagree with that.
Okay.
So, aside from that discrepancy that we'll have a resolution on shortly.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about it?
The one I wanted to be the best was the worst, which was
That's
the Cinnamon
unfortunate.
Toast Crunch Graham Cracker Porter.
That sounds awful.
It was basically just Graham Cracker Porter. There was like almost nothing came through of anything Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And they were also selling crowlers of it. I doubt they sold many of those. The Brittany Schmears was good. It was kind of like a bagel coffee almost. I have no idea how to describe how it tastes in no way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just called a bagel ale.
Yeah,
and it was like
it was a little tart, a minuscule little savory bit in there, but very hard to describe. The coffee cake stout was very good. 7, okay. The coffee lager was good.
Yeah. The Thai tea rice beer, I forget what they actually call it, but
Japan's off.
Japan's off, yes.
Yep.
That one was good. The Upsal berry, I don't know if I actually had that one.
It was very fruity.
Yeah. But I think the cinnamon coffee cake one was the best.
Yeah.
And then after that, the schmear, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It was, I mean, you definitely weren't getting your $50 out of it. I mean, we got a nice mug out of it that wasn't a pint glass.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
It was like a
coffee.
coffee mug.
Like a can
large
coffee mug.
Yeah, like a large one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fun. It was in the new Downing location, Downing Street location, which is a very nice spot. And they will soon have alcoholic ice cream or an ice cream shop or whatever.
Okay.
Because they own that building as well.
Sure.
So, yeah. Beer, bacon, coffee.
Yeah.
The BBC Fest.
Speaking of beer events, Strange had its 11th anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and Zach and Jeff and I all went there Friday after our stream of Rap Godz and had some beers and hung out. Gotta say hi to Tim, the owner, who was well on his way to Super Smash.
Yes.
That's usually how I ever see him.
That is 80% of the
but
time.
usually
that
I only ever
meet
see him at the anniversary things, so that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it was good getting to see them. They look nice and busy. They still haven't really fully opened things back up. They still require you wearing masks and stuff in there. The whole state of Colorado right now is kind of in flux. They were supposed to lift all the mask mandates and like capacity restrictions. That was supposed to have been lifted like, I don't know, almost a week ago at this point. But nowhere seems to have done that I've been yet.
I've seen it.
It seems like a lot of people are seeing how things go before they change it all back and then have to change it all back again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to go to
Because we are not at the point of no return yet.
No, we are not.
No. On like Saturday, I ended up waking up at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, it's early enough. Maybe I can go get some Universal. I'm just one person. I'm sure it won't be bad. And I got there, and they're like, it'll be about a 30-minute wait. And I was like, I'm definitely not waiting 30 minutes just by myself. So I just
30 minutes for one.
Squeeze you into the bar.
Well, I went in there and I saw that there were like 3 seats at the bar, and that was it. And they
Oh.
were being so I was like, okay, I understand. I'm not mad at them or anything like that. Why they couldn't fit me in, because I was just like, in my mind it's like, one person and a normal like seating and stuff like that. Yes, but when it was like half full, they have it made for 2s and 3s and 4s stuff like that. So yeah.
Cool. That's all I really have. The beer, I had a couple beers there. They were good at the anniversary.
I had a couple there that were
remember
good
what's up.
and bad.
One of them that I had was the Cannonball Creek collab.
The Session IPA.
Yeah. And then I had another one of their IPAs, and That was all I had.
I had the Hogshead Belgian special bitter,
Yeah.
and that was disappointing, unfortunately. Even though they had it on cask, it tasted weird. I don't know. It was the Belgian-y part of it that I was just like,
For me, it was the bitter part at the end. And it just coated your tongue in an aftertaste in a weird way.
Yeah, there was something about the aftertaste that I was like, meh.
Okay. I think that's about it for Banter, though. We can probably move on.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else. So that
it hailed at the Beer Bacon Coffee Festival like 5 minutes after we left.
Yeah, we were technically under tornado warnings twice this week.
Yeah.
It's been weird, but
I was like, oh, that's not just rain, that's hail. That's hailing. It was very tiny hail, but it's technically hail.
Technically
Ice falling out of the sky.
Indeed. On that note, let's move over to some news and Kickstarters, moving back to board game content.
Yes. First up in news, Asmodee has announced they will not be attending Gen Con, nor will any of their subsidiaries, which some would say is a lot of the board game industry.
So that's Asmodee, that's Days of Wonder, that's Fantasy Flight. There's at least a couple other ones, but I know when it first got mentioned, people are like, yeah, but their thing's only like 5% of the entire thing, the entire show floor.
Yeah.
But then you're like, yeah, but all their subsidiaries, those are going to add up.
Yep.
So
extremely. Yeah, because Asmodee itself, I was like, I don't remember the last time I actually went into an Asmodee booth.
Yeah.
I would go to Flames Flight. I would go see Z-Man. I would go see any of the other things. Specifically Fantasy Flight, I think.
Yeah, Fantasy Flight would, like, out of all the ones not being there, that's the one I'm like, damn it, because I've always been, it's been like, oh, let me pick the expansion up for Mansions of Madness, like a couple months early. Twilight Imperium 4th, like 3 to 6 months early.
Yeah.
Significantly early.
So,
and then like everybody being excited about like in-flight report and stuff like that. About
all of those things, in-flight report will still happen.
Yes.
They are still doing Gen Con online.
Yes.
Their announcements and fancy things will still happen around that time, but you cannot go to a convention and see them in person or buy them in person.
Well, yeah, so now you're not going to catch the in-flight report and like race over to the booth to grab something that they're like, hey, we're going to actually release this on Sunday.
Yeah, here's this mediocre game that we're talking about that you just want to be like, oh, they released a new game, let me get it. And then you play it and you're like, it's not that good. And you're like, damn it.
Final hour.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, so that'll be disappointing. They'll still have their games there through other booths with like how they've run their games selling at their previous conventions. It was rare for them to ever have a store there. Like Fantasy Flight would have a store, but at PAX Unplugged, Fantasy Flight does not have a store. They would just have little placards to be like, go to booth so-and-so, and we're selling all of this game there.
Yeah.
They know where it's getting sold through some other company. But that'll be a huge blow to the floor of Gen Con, which is happening this year because tickets went on sale Sunday.
Yeah. Although I did see them, apparently they sent out emails to badge holders that they could request rollovers. They had previously had the rollover deadline.
Yes.
And then Asmodee made this announcement and people lost their shit.
It's like they have made a huge change into who's going to be here after a rollover deadline.
Yeah. And
it's like, haha, you're all in this, suckers.
And so the Gen Con apparently was sending out emails that was like, if you actually do want to roll over, given that news, you can send us an email and we'll roll you over.
Yeah.
So.
But did you buy a ticket?
I did.
Nice.
I have a 4-day badge.
How much did it cost?
$133.
Okay, that's how much mine did. Okay.
Pretty sure.
I wasn't sure but then it was because of the shipping and shit like that.
I did the shipping.
Yeah.
I did the shipping for the first time ever.
Same here.
Yeah.
But I probably shouldn't have done the shipping this year because there's probably going to be less people and I could have just waited in that line in less than an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I've paid $10 like a fool.
$10 fucking 4 months before.
Yeah.
Like a rube.
Although the lines, like if they do like a lot of distancing or something, the lines might be extra long, even with less people.
Yeah.
And might still be
But sometimes those
obnoxious.
badge lines were just absolutely bad.
They were
insanely
long.
long.
Oh, yeah. They were crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it for Gen Con news.
Yeah, so far. I'm sure
So far.
things
I'm sure
will...
going to get more.
Oh, yeah. Constantly.
like also I saw that Privateer Press is also not doing it. But,
yeah, a whole bunch of people are dropping out. Like who's going to be at Gen Con?
It's just gonna
what it's going to be like? It's going to be like Gen Con 2000, my first one. It's going to be Wizards of the Coast, and that's about it.
I just hope it doesn't mean that they like shrink down so much so that it's like, because I have a feeling that we're not going to play in the stadium again.
There was
They don't have the stadium this year.
Oh, see, there we go.
And there was a survey that went out being like, what is important to your Gen Con attendance? And one of the questions was like, somewhere with a giant library to play games. Or would you attend Gen Con without this?
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we'll see what Gen Con looks like.
Yep.
Maybe I'll just hang out at Sun King the whole time and
That's
get
true.
fucking hammered.
Yeah.
There you go.
I know people.
Yeah.
Sun King, and then also that one place.
Kubas?
No, the Long Island Ice 2 place.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kilroy's.
Yeah,
Kilroy's.
Lots of drinking is happening at
Yeah.
Kilroy's.
Yes.
Anyhow, moving along to the next and last bit of news.
Very tiny bit of news. Rulebook revamp has come out, or revision, for Marvel Champions, which we just played. The game has grown significantly since it originally released with a fairly basic rule set. And with all of their crazy shit they're adding, they have done another huge run over the rulebook and clarifications.
Bunch of clarifications.
Clarification.
Yep. like a big thing they added was like, what does you mean in this game?
Yeah, I like that one because it's like basically if it's on these types of cards like upgrades, events, resources, and counter cards, it refers to your identity. Whereas you on allies and supports does not refer to your identity.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay.
The difference between defend and defense.
Yeah.
And then they also kind of spun out and changed up some of the game modes, which is kind of why we're talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was just sort of like normal and expert, and then they've renamed a rookie mode into skirmish mode, which is basically fight the tier 1 of the boss, and then when you defeat it, it's over.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like an easy...
An intro to the game.
Yeah.
So it's not always like, because that's sort of what Rhino just was.
Yeah.
And so...
But he still does have his like phase 2, and then if you wanted
Yeah.
to play expert mode, there's 3 versions of every boss. In expert mode, you start at 2 and go to 3, where in normal you go 1 to 2,
Yeah.
and that's your end. Basically, it's just more health and maybe some more different skills and stuff.
Yeah.
They've also added a rules for heroic mode, which is normally during the villain phase, each character gets an encounter card, and that's kind of the villain's attack, more than just the villain's attacks or thwarts. It's how your nemesis come into the game, different obligations, a bunch of bad shit happens. And now in heroic mode, you can choose a difficulty of 1 to 4, where you're getting 1, 2, 3, or 4 every villain phase, which seems
Jesus.
absolutely batshit insane.
Right? Crazy.
I'm going to play expert mode, and we're doing heroic 4, and...
we want to do this because we want the game to be over in like 10 minutes, right?
we want
Okay.
to immediately lose. We're playing with
Perfect.
someone we hate. It's like, sorry, that's how the
Yeah.
game goes.
Yeah.
Next game.
Yeah. So if you ever hear us and when we're playing Marvel Champions with you and we're like, hey, let's do expert with heroic 4, it's because we hate you and we don't want to play a game
Correct.
with you.
Yeah, we want this to be over as fast as possible.
But
so
also-
Adrian, if you want us to play, if you want to play some Marvel Champions later,
Yep.
Makes that 3-player game go real fast.
I bet.
But I bet they added that in there because people have made some very powerful constructed decks where just the difficulty of the base
expert
levels
yeah.
they have in there are not enough.
Yep.
So that's kind of why they've added these.
Okay.
Which is neat.
Indeed.
But now I want the new printing of the rule book because it's way better than the standard one, and I don't
Yeah.
have to look at it on a screen.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you can order one someday.
Yeah, I mean they have it fully available. I could probably just go somewhere fancy with fancy paper and get one printed or something extra glossy.
Extra glossy.
Extra glossy matte, please.
That's it for news.
Can you laminate them?
move-
Can you laminate my matte print? Then it's really glossy, and then staple it together.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, you monster.
That's the next thing in board games, man.
Sure.
Laminated.
Mm.
Laminated matte.
I like to laminate my boards. Makes them nice and waterproof.
Perfect.
Dry erase too.
But then you have to cut holes in it so that it can fold
Fold
correctly.
still. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It doesn't hurt it at all. It's fine. It's still 100% waterproof. It's okay.
100%.
As long as you don't put water that part, you're good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to some Kickstarters. Jeff, What's first up in Kickstarter?
First up in Kickstarter is the Dungeons and Dragons RPG Smartbox. Just funded 14,000 of its $10,000 goal, just over 100 backers, 2 weeks left to go. It is $149.
Yup. So this is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a storage box for a bunch of D&D stuff. It includes magnets to hold it all closed and a bunch of different things.
It was bigger than I thought it was.
Yes, it is substantially bigger than it looks in the Kickstarter.
What's that, 10 by 9 inches?
Yeah, a little over 10 by a little over 9.
Yeah.
But the lid flips over and has a little gridded out bar, tavern thing that you can actually play on if you're into that sort of thing. The main box itself turns into a big old huge dice tray with felt lined bottom. And then inside of it, there's a whole bunch of other things like a little RPG vault that holds your dice and your pencils and potentially a mini. And then it's got a little slot thing where you can even, stand your phone up during the game, because I know so many people love having people have their phones out during D&D games.
Are there app-based RPG tools?
There are some.
Okay.
But usually those are the kind of things you just use the laptop for. If you're gonna go that way, go all on.
I see.
But I think there are some good character sheet apps and stuff that you can use. There is a little coaster that comes in there that also doubles as
a dice tray.
A dice tray, yep. So if you have just a shit ton of dice like I do, you've got multiple places to stash them all.
It's like what I need for Blood Bowl.
There you go.
I have a lot of dice for Blood Bowl.
So you need a Blood Bowl.
One of these.
Yeah. And then it comes with a notebook that has both lined and gridded paper, as well as an extra 80 blank refillable sheets that come with it so that you can fill it back up after you've written all in it.
The notebook is made of birch plywood.
Yeah, so it's probably like a hardwood cover, like a thinner, light, like birch is a really light wood.
Yeah.
So
that's neat, though.
Yeah. It's got that cool little mountainy map thing on the front. Yeah. You can get some additional add-ons like another notebook, coasters, more of those pencil and dice vaults, things like that. You can also, if you want to, go all out for $259. You can come up with your own design for both the cover of the book and like basically every little bit of woodworking where they do a design. You can substitute your own if you want to throw $250 down.
And how much did you say it was?
$150.
$150 for the
dice for the thing itself. $250 if you want to customize.
Okay,
so an extra $100.
$100 honestly isn't too bad for you to get your own design of it, I think.
No, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
It seems like one of the more reasonably priced for all of these things.
Yeah.
Where everything else is usually like many hundreds of dollars because it's usually wormwood and you're paying for onyx, dragon, steel, wood.
Yeah. The custom one with the custom art also includes shipping, which would be really nice. Like if you're in Canada or Europe, where the Smartbox shipping is already just $24.
Yeah.
So that starts to really make that seem like that'd be worthwhile to get your own artwork.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's RPG Smartbox from Smonex. Next up in Kickstarter.
Actually, is the next thing in our Kickstarter. Extremely well funded. $512,000 of its $25,000 goal. Almost 10,000 backers, 2 weeks left to go, and you can get it for about $54.
Yeah. So this is based off of a College Humor game show that they have.
Correct.
That I guess is nerds correcting wrong nerd trivia.
Yeah,
yes.
So they write incorrect nerd trivia, and they have to answer, instead of the form of a question, they have to answer in, actually, and then answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just a party game, basically, of that. 4 to 8 players, takes about 25 minutes. And
all original questions for the game. Nothing has been on the show before. Comes from the people from College Humor. They make a joke in their Kickstarter video that they were almost all of them were fired from College Humor. Almost all of College Humor was fired, period.
Correct.
During COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was just one person left, and that was Brennan Lee Mulligan, who was the Dungeon Master for Dimension 20.
Yeah.
Everybody else was
Wow.
yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
They give an example of one of the cards here.
I did know this, by the way.
That's like an Amazing Spider-Man thing where it's like one of his most famous enemies is Dr. Octavius, who goes by Dr. Octopus.
Yep.
And that he stole Spidey's powers and left Spider-Man in a coma.
No. Stole his body.
Stole his body
Yes.
while he was in a coma.
Actually.
Yeah.
So he changed. So Dr. Otto Octavius was actually dying, and he brain swapped Peter Parker into his dying body and then became Spider-Man. And then he tried to reverse it, but he was too smart, and the little like pierced thing in the base of the skull, he had put a piece of armor back there in Spider-Man's suit, so he couldn't get back in the body. And then Peter Parker fucking died in Otto Octavius's body. But a little piece of Peter remained in the brain, and then Otto Octavius tried to become the superior Spider-Man and become a better hero than Spider-Man ever could be. And it was an extremely good comic run.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
The actually part of this was like it mentioned something about Spider-Man being in a coma.
It's like, no, he's fucking dead.
And he actually he did.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's a lot of it is stuff like that where you'll have like real nitpicky shit that you'll find, and then people can talk about that stuff. Like like one of the ones was from the show was about The Good Place. And so it was like Janet, the robotic assistant in The Good Place, is arguably one of the most powerful beings in the show. She can be instantly summoned by saying, "Hey, Janet."
Is it not Hey Janet? I don't remember. I don't remember
either.
What's the actually?
So there's actually two. She's not a she and she's not a robot.
She's constantly, she is not a girl.
Yeah.
I am
exactly. She's not a girl. She's not a robot. And so
not a girl.
Yep. So it's a bunch of little stuff like that stuff that sounds right that you're just like, they tell you and you're just like, oh, you motherfucker. I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So one thing I do like is that when you're setting it up, you people get to choose the different
like categories
and stuff. So it's at least something like, because if you didn't know about like Star Wars stuff or something like that, like, but you knew about anime, you could choose the anime one, and then like you have at least a fighting chance in some of them.
Yeah. So like the base 5 are fantasy, cartoons, comics, sci-fi, and games. In the deluxe edition, you add anime, 80s and 90s, and horror, and then you can also get the college humor community and Dimension 20 as like add-on stuff.
Yeah. And so they have those normal style questions, and then they have a shiny question every 3 or 4 that are just related to like a little bit more involved.
Yeah. So like the one they have here is 3 sets of questions where you have to name the character. So like the first one is Smart employee / killer android. So that's 2 characters who share the same name. So you got to figure out what the name is.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it's Ash.
Yep.
Then like the next one, colorful ghost and Acme Labs mouse, Pinky.
Mm-hmm.
And then disembodied hand and fantastic floor monster, which would be the thing. So stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where you get points based on how many you get right.
Yeah. It makes sense that they couldn't do what they did in the show for the shiny questions, because a lot of those are like, we're going to show you a series of maps and like without the name, and you have to try and figure out where you are, or it's like 12 different robots or aliens or things like that, and name as many as you can that you can't do
in a card game.
Yeah, like this. And then at the end of the game, you also have real life questions.
Yeah, which the example they give here. So the real life ones are things like it's about like,
you're an adult that knows how to cook,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
So this one is you're an adult who knows how to cook. Spell the following things: fettuccine, zucchini, and hors d'oeuvre.
Yes.
Well, they do spell it phonetically right next to it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my screen is so small to
Yes.
make it fit on the stream. I can't hardly like. I have to like
Right.
get way over there.
But like in the show, there are like questions about like removing lug nuts from a car, or if someone is
Star pattern.
Yeah. Or
Not
if
for removing.
Tightening, yeah.
Yeah. Or if you like, if someone is getting a heart attack, stuff you're supposed to do for there and things like that. That it's always funny when people who do like really badly. There's like one person that does fairly badly on all the other ones, but and they've been in multiple episodes, and they always get the real life one right, and they're like, yeah. Or there's someone who like crushes everything, and then they always have no fucking idea whenever a real life question gets asked.
I think I would definitely do better at the real life in that one than some of the nerd stuff. Yeah, so that's actually Jesus, for $500
you can get so they have props from the show, so the $500 pledge,
which are all slightly wrong. So
one of 12 props actually used on the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
I take it that's supposed to be like, this is how Spock does his.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah, or they have the poke cubes. They have 21-sided dice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Indeed. So that's actually from College Humor.
It seems like one of those party games that doesn't suck ass.
Yeah.
Last up on Kickstarter, we have Mosaic. Very well funded, $539,000 of a $100,000 goal. Just about 4,500 backers. 2 weeks left to go, but you can get it for its most popular pledge of $149.
You sure can. So Mosaic, A Story of Civilization, is an action selection board game where you're doing civilizations in the Mediterranean. So
it's very civilization.
Yeah.
You have leaders, you have techs, you have buildings, you have resources.
Yeah. 1 to 6 players, takes 120 minutes. And like I said, it's an action selection game. So you are going to, when I scroll back down here to the actual
It's got
gameplay,
minis.
It's got a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. We'll kind of come back to some of that. They hid the how to play way down here. Here you go. So you do one of 8 different actions on your turn. You can learn a new tech by spending ideas, which is one of the resources of the game, to get new tech, and then you place it in front of you, and it gives you different abilities.
You mean light bulbs?
Well, so light bulbs are like the 1, scrolls are like the 5s, I think. I don't know. They clearly, for each resource, have 2 different tokens that are that resource, and I'm assuming it's like 1s and 5s.
So
and
5
10s.
light bulbs equal 1 scroll.
I assume so.
Okay.
I can only assume.
Gotcha. So if we can find 5 Dead Sea light bulbs, then we can just get the Dead Sea scrolls.
Yes.
So you get a Dead Sea scroll.
Okay, well,
You
we're
would-
in between some. I mean,
you need more Dead Sea light bulbs if you want more Dead Sea scrolls.
Okay, all right.
If you want the full set, you're going to need, like, I don't know, 25 light bulbs.
Gotcha. And those are hard to find back then. So
Sure were.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to
Almost
this game.
impossible.
almost
Some
impossible.
would say. In addition to learning a technology, which is the first of the actions, you can build cities, towns, and projects by spending stone, ideas, and or population, depending on what you're building. You can recruit and move military units by spending some food, money for military guys. You can increase your population by spending food, which they are wheat and fish.
Yes.
So 5 wheat is a fish, maybe. I don't know. You just cram it together and boom, fish stick. You can do work to produce those different currencies. So stone, food, and ideas. Then you can also do taxes and tariffs, which allows you to collect money based on the assets that you own. You can build wonders by spending stone and food. That helps you score victory points and can have some special powers. And then last action you can do is change your government. So when you have the required symbols, pay the cost and ideas to form a government, or potentially change your government. They allow you to score victory points during scoring rounds and can give you some special abilities. All texts and projects give you unique abilities as well as symbols that represent the 9 components of civilization, which they show here as science, population, government, economy, building, military/empire, food production, culture, and urbanization. Key aspects. Nine key aspects of civilization.
And I want to say the timeline on this game is pretty long, too. I want to say it goes to Industrial Revolution?
I would not be surprised. I did not see anything specifically that pointed that out.
I do vaguely remember this. Maybe pre-industrial, but more than just ancient civilizations on the Mediterranean.
Yes. I mean, the game map is clearly just the Mediterranean.
Yes.
A little bit of North Africa,
a little bit of
Middle East, and and then Mediterranean.
Black Sea.
Kind of ish.
North Turkey.
Yeah. That's the main game board, along with spots for all the different actions. Your player boards have spots to drop in all the different things you're going to be earning, and ways to track your resources and everything. Currently 9 different leader cards.
I'm sure there's a trillion stretch goals for a bunch more leaders.
Considering it plays 1 to 6 out the gate, I'm sure they're going to throw a bunch more leaders in there.
Yeah.
97 tech cards.
And depending on which leader you get, depends on which technologies you can start with and things like that.
As well as other additional bonuses. 97 tech cards, 37 building cards, 20 population cards, 20 tax and tariff cards, and then a whole bunch of fancy pieces to go on to the board for when you build things.
So there's tiles and they have miniatures. So
Yeah.
you can kind of do both, either or.
Yep, because I think they both include, So so you got to go to the 150
For
to
the
get the
minis.
metal coins, wood tokens, plastic wonders, minis, plastic city towns, all that stuff. So yeah, but they show them kind of side by side, so you can see the tiles that have really nice art to make up for the fact
Yeah.
they're not 3D plastic minis. Whole bunch of different military units, wonders, all that stuff. Currently 9 wonders. And then some player board pawns and minis, which will just be really basic little pawns in the base game, upgraded to a mini. So yeah, whole bunch of different stuff. Military unit upgrade gives you 6 unique nations with 12 unique military units. So there you go. They're also having weekly unlocks, or daily. Each week we will reveal new. Okay, but they do it like weekday 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and here we go, week 2, and they're a little ways down on these. So they'll show more. They're currently up to week 3 on unlocks, which is like metal coins and stuff, and neoprene game mat
Nice, as an add-on. Okay.
as an add-on. So, they got a bunch of other add-ons like modular inserts, detailed score pads, things like that. I don't know. This one looks kind of cool. I like worker placement. I like civ building. I like playing around in the Mediterranean. Seems like it might be kind of up my alley.
Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, and it's $80 without those 4 add-ons of metal coins, wood tokens, plastic wonders, plastic cities, towns, and ports, and plastic military units.
So if you don't care about all that super special stuff, then it's not too bad.
Yeah, I would be more interested in this at the $80 level with the metal coins, wood tokens, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I haven't really looked at the exact cost of what those are. I mean, it's $30 for metal coins, wood tokens.
So 110.
Yeah.
Okay.
Indeed.
And then add on the neoprene board mat, and then boom, you're good to go at $150.
There you are.
This comes from a hometown my hometown developer, right next to my hometown.
Yeah.
Plainfield, Illinois. Yes,
Oh.
they did Raccoon Tycoon
Oh,
as
there you
well.
go.
So this comes from a company that did things that were good.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll take your word for it.
And then they had to live in Plainfield, Illinois.
That's unfortunate.
I'm sorry.
Womp womp.
Sorry.
I just assume the way you say that's an unfortunate thing. I don't
Correct.
know for sure.
Oswego's no crown jewel of Kendall County, but
That is it for news and Kickstarters. So we can move on to some listener feedback. I don't think there were any emails.
No.
there was no emails.
No emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
Indeed. There was a new email from Paulo.
There's
That's
a
not
YouTube.
an email. There's a
YouTube
YouTube
comment,
comment
sorry.
that we were notified via email that
yes.
it existed.
Yeah, sorry, I had email on the brain still. There is a YouTube comment over in Paulo's Corner from Paulo on episode 228, Lacking in Sweets. He says, man, both links were in the comments of episode 226. 2 comments with 1 link each. Here it is, the link to Troyes, which I know is wrong, but I haven't listened to the video yet. To Troyes again, and we couldn't listen to the sound of the video for LOTR. So I have them actually pulled up here on my phone. And
We're just going to pipe it
I'm
into
just
the
gonna play
mic
it
on the
into
phone,
mic
huh?
that way. And it's
Great.
going to be,
Doing it old school.
Yep. It's probably not going to be great, but it'll get the point
And then I'll
across.
just silence it, and then people are like, we still can't fucking hear it.
That sounds exactly like something Zach would do.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. So this is the Troyes, or
Trois.
Wow.
Trois.
Wah. So yeah, that's that one. And then
That's not.
It's our theme music.
And then here's, for anybody who missed it last week, here's actually how you pronounce what I regularly say as Le Havre, but it is really Le Havre. Here it is, officially.
Le Havre.
Le Havre.
Le Havre.
Le Havre. Was it Lee Harvey, as we said it for a little bit, too?
I love saying it as Lee Harvey.
Lee Harvey.
Now that somebody pointed that out to me, I'm like, oh yeah, it's definitely Lee Harvey. So yeah, that wraps up Paulo's Corner. Thank you, Paulo, for 3 episodes in a row of YouTube comments.
Yeah, we definitely didn't get it wrong on purpose so that you would continuously, annoyingly continue to comment.
You know what we didn't get that I was expecting was
An email from Kaiser.
a Kaiser email about my, I'm sure, many mistakes when I was talking about, the UP and Michigan and fighting over Toledo or whichever one of the states it was,
And whatever
cities it was.
Whatever a pasty versus
Good old state of Toledo.
Pasty.
Pasty
The old
versus
spaghetti
pasty.
pasty.
Yeah. Our Slack channel was filled with people trying to type phonetically.
A lot of phonetic.
So
going
much
on.
phoneticism.
Yes.
I like how West used actual phonetic characters, and everybody's like, we don't know what those mean. This gives us no new
It's like, there's a
information.
whole phonetic alphabet here. None of you are using it.
But that is indeed everything for listener feedback, which pretty much wraps up the show. Yeah, if you would like to get a hold of us, there are a bunch of different ways to do so. You can send us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And Jeff_MHGG.
We have our Instagram account, at MHGameGuys over on Instagram. Facebook.com/MHGameGuys is our Facebook page. Feel free to go like us over there. Our website, milehighgameguys.com, technically exists, but definitely go to punchboardmedia.com instead to see all of our episodes with show notes, including links to things like the news items and Kickstarters we talk about if you want to go follow up on them and read more your own selves. There's also links on those in those show notes to join our Slack channel. It's free to anybody who listens to the show and then goes and clicks on a link. Like that's the only thing we ask of you is go click a link.
I mean, technically, you could still get on if someone gave you the link and you didn't listen to the show, but why would you be there if you can't stand us?
Yeah.
Is there people on our
There are
Slack channel
definitely people on
that
our
don't
Slack
listen to
channel
the
that do
show
not
Yeah.
and are
actually
just
listen to
there
the show.
for the board gaming community that we have built?
I mean, there's a lot of locals who've joined who I'm pretty sure don't actually listen to the show. They just want to be a part of the this is now where all the board games are playing.
Yep.
Yeah,
All the social outings for the Denver group now happen on the Slack channel.
pretty much.
Other than that, I don't know if there's really I don't know if there's anybody who never listened to us. There's some people who might not listen to us as much anymore, but they're like, hey, you guys are still fun to fuck with
Yeah.
on Slack. So
I guess you guys are cool. I'll hang out with you.
Yeah. We also have our BGG guild number 2731, where there's starting to be threads again, maybe about
There's going to be at some point in the future, yes.
threads again for the games that we stream.
Which will
and
be what this Friday?
we don't know.
We don't know yet.
We
Oh,
didn't decide.
I was going to wait
asked
for
about
someone
it
to
before.
just say a game and then we would play it.
Oh, Jagged Earth expansion of Spirit Island.
Pass.
It's a game that came out in the last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Megan,
right, let me
Megan
rephrase
just
that.
got it for her birthday.
Let me
last
rephrase
week.
it. I will be passing on that.
No, I'll save that for sometime when you guys can't make it or something. Megan and I can do a 2-player stream.
Gotcha. When we're out in fucking Gen Con.
There you go.
We're going to be fucking Gen Con.
Gross. I feel bad for Gen Con.
Me too. I will be very disappointing.
We also, I already said BGG Guild. You can also follow us over on Twitch, twitch.tv/MHGameGuys. We are back to streaming our Wednesday recordings, so you can, get a behind the scenes look, including all of the errors and things that Zach cuts out. You can also see me nearly fall asleep during the first half of this episode.
Mhm.
If you go watch the rerun of it, that'll be up there for like another week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yes.
I got hit real hard
You had-
with
you
that
had-
first Maharaja.
You had those eyes closed. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. They were getting
Yeah.
real heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's also where we do our live plays of Friday, on Friday, our streams of games,
Yep.
things like that. And there's some Mile High Dungeon Delver stuff as well.
Nice. Yeah. And then eventually that stuff will go onto YouTube. But
Indeed.
that's up to unknown forces. So
It just appears someday.
yeah.
Yeah.
The computer is haunted.
Indeed it is.
But it's weirdly helpful.
It's a helpful ghost.
Yeah. I think next week we're going to be doing a top 10 episode. Again, for the first time in a long time. Maybe. I make no promises, but that's a little
Top 10
little
games in 2021 that we didn't play.
Sure, I'll just pick 10 off of the list.
That's
Any 10.
Yeah.
I didn't play any games. Any new games. But yeah, that's it for the episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it.
that new i70 is crazy. I drove on it this morning.
I'll be doing that tomorrow.
I'm sure it is.
There's a tunnel.
There is.
Yeah.
No more viaducts.
Most of them are mostly torn down already.
Good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's it for the show.
Yep.
I'm out of here. We're all out of here. Thanks for watching. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Tunnel Rat Jeff.
Bye.
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 Where we all
Bring something
to the table.
pull up a chair.
At punchboardmedia.com.